Hello everybody, my name is Felicia Schütte. I'm a portrait photographer based on Bonaire. Bonaire is in the middle of the Caribbean Sea and we are a special municipality of Holland. So technically we are the Dutch Caribbean. And welcome to my studio tour. I have been a professional photographer since literally 2016, since I have set my professional pricing. That's what I would define being a professional photographer. I have studied architecture, so I'm an architect, and I resigned in 2000, came to Bonaire. It's a long story which I'm gonna keep short, but in Bonaire I rediscovered photography because everything was new. Before, I had a little bit of history with photography during my studies as an architect, so it was old school, developing film, going in the dark room. And while expressing the design of your architectural concept, you use photography as well as a medium. So photography went with me through the years, and then jump forward being in Bonaire. And after discovering the island, I was the girl with the camera, as maybe many stories start. And here I as well worked as an architect, and after five years I resigned. And then I wanted to work for myself because there were no more real challenges for me. And then because I'm a foreigner, I had to create a whole company. And in the business plan, I put, of course, my architecture and urban planning, but also photography, just because I loved it. And very quickly I realized, like, oof, I want to learn, I need to learn. And that was where, here locally it was very difficult to find education. And then online I searched and I find around 2012, 13, Creative Life, very quickly Sue Bryce. And later on I just followed her into her own educational platform. And that's where things started going. I would say events in my life that brought me where I am today are the good and the bad. The bad in the sense of I had a burnout after my first architectural job in Germany, doing 80-hour weeks for 2-3 years non-stop. If I would have not had that, I wouldn't be here today in Bonaire. And then the second was another resignation of my architectural job here, which brought me to working for myself. And for the good, certainly the education I could receive online, Sue Bryce education, certainly, and I really can only point out the conferences, especially the first conference was a game changer for me, being introduced to everything new, and the second conference I felt so much more in my comfort zone and I could start giving back to other participants. And besides that, I really love to join the competitions and the awards because, first of all, I'm German, we are hung up on diplomas, so this whole journey from associate to master to fellow were, for me, things that made me being comfortable with myself and my craft, mastering my craft, and then winning competitions is just extreme fun. And that also helped me to get to know to my community, and basically this all forms the picture of the photographer I am today. The genres that I shoot are predominantly maternity, motherhood, so mother and baby together. I do also shoot, let's call it beauty, contemporary portrait and boudoir. Every single photo shoot is different and helps me grow as a photographer and as a person. My space consists out of 2 rooms, which is really nice and practical. And here we are in the office area. So what is happening here is a consultation. This is my workspace. I do the retouching there and also any other administrative work. I have my wardrobe here. So when the photo shoot takes place, all the changing takes place here. So my shooting space is completely free of any clutter. Here we are now in my studio. It's a bedroom size, somewhere around 3.50 m by 4 meters, so some 14-15 square meters. It's a small space, but I make it work. And a lot of my items are multitasking or a double usage. So let's start right away with one of my first investments. That was a Manfrotto backdrop stand, which is just worth gold. And I painted myself 2 canvases, and usually they're both grays, and I have usually the lighter one hanging and the darker one I use it as a drop floor. And one of my absolute favorite features is a bed sheet that I use as a backdrop. So when I started out, I had nothing, I started with nothing, and I still use the same things. And the gorgeousness about this white bedsheet is that I can use it with light behind, then it's basically working as a scrim or like a daylight picture, and I also use it with my main light, and then I can get quite different light effects with that. Here in the corner you can see my speed light. When I'm shooting and I'm using it as a backlight, it's basically behind. And it's tiny, small, but it's organized. So I have my diffusers usually hanging here, and I have just normal curtains. So sometimes I use it just to diffuse daylight when I shoot in my corner, which is like the daylight, the wall posing. Then I use this. I can do that only in the afternoon when I have the sun on that side, because else it's just too dark. And sometimes I use these diffusers, and with a light stand, I pop them over. It's not very high. I think it's 2 meter 30, 40. I pop it over with a light stand, and I use my speed light, reflecting it to the ceiling like an overhead light, because simply I don't have other things. I use what I have, and I make, I think, 10, 20 different light scenes I can solve in this space. My backdrop stand is angled, like I said already, then I can behind use it as a storage and I can also use it with different light settings. Also, what I like to do is, like, if I hang the backdrop actually halfway across here, and then I can have my speed light behind, and it's like an diffused, like a window light coming in from over and below. So when I have, especially for lying poses, I like to use that kind of light. What I also have is a sofa that can be pulled out. I do not use that so much anymore. It was right in the beginning when I did a lot of recline posing or laying down posing, but I have to say it's quite heavy. It's from IKEA. It also doubles as a guest bed. Like I said, everything has double, triple functions here. Most of my lying poses I just do plain on the floor. If somebody has difficulties with laying down, I still use the sofa, but not so much. On the other side of this room, I have my reveal wall, and if I have an in-person reveal, I turn that sofa around and I have a prime seat to view the reveal. I do need to say this was pre-COVID. Now I do another kind of reveal, and I'm still going to explain that. I have a mannequin, which is really practical because I use her for light testing. I also use her to shoot my studio wardrobe, to put it on the website. And I also use her if I want to style a shoot. Sometimes I want to drape fabrics in a certain way so I can try it out. I also really love to put the outfits that I'm going to use for a photo shoot on my mannequin, and then I test shoot. Also, if you just want to have a quick look, how does the jewelry fit? So I use her quite a lot. On this side of the studio is where I'm standing when I'm shooting. So this is just opposite my backdrop stand. The backdrops that I'm not using, I just store them behind the door. Also I have my boom stand there, and I'm going to reveal you my working cupboard. It's a mess. But I know where I have what, and it's just the truth. So let me show you. And I have my camera gear here. Up here I have hair clips, needles, and God knows what. It's also a very quick and easy way just to let things disappear if you need to. So I'm just being honest here. I do have my fabrics here that I like for fabric throws. Also a few more backdrops. And actually, by the way, my first ever backdrop was a simple curtain. So there's no excuses. We work with what we have. This is a velvet $3 curtain, and I still use it. Also, I have artificial hair in there, a quick powder cosmetics. Also, when it's not laying on the reveal wall, I have it here. So, like I said, working cupboard, not to be looked at. And I took one door off because originally I wanted to paint everything white, which I said was just terrible. So I started with one, and I realized I'm not going to do more. But I had the doors out, and I figured it's quite practical, because I have that single element which I'm using as a gobo. And we're coming here to my other little feature working cupboard, which includes jewelry. I come to that in a moment. But the really cool thing is I can attach those two together, and then I have a shoot through, and I put my speedlight behind, and then I get this hot Havana kind of light effects a la Lola Milani. So make it work. Coming to my jewelry. I found a pretty cool way just to organize my jewelry. I found those little clothes hangers and I just sort them by color or by theme. I love vintage. I have my vintage hats here and different kind of shoulder pieces, so everything I need. And I have here everything that I need during styling the photo shoot. So this is all on the fly. I have it handy. If I see I want to add something, I can do that at any point in time. And for the rest, I just squeeze myself in here as much as I can, which is not a very long distance. And I use more wide angle that I would like to. Most of the time I use my 50mm and then I have my main light here. And if I really have to do a wide angle, sometimes I just simply move outside in the hallway and shoot a wider angle for lying poses or if I have more than 2-3 people. I wish that my studio would have more space. I can make it work as I have hopefully shown, but it's quite small in terms of I cannot back off enough, and shooting more than 2-3 people is difficult, even though I'm very comfortable shooting only like 2 to 3 people. However, still space would be something I wish. Having said that, I do love the close proximity to my home, so I don't know if I would like to move somewhere else where I have to drive further. So maybe I can even optimize my organization, put more shelves, make it more functional, so that space aspect. And for the rest, there wouldn't be really anything I need because I make it work with what I have. However, yeah, I would wish to have an elephant, of course, or 2, or maybe 3, or 4. Certainly, I would love to have an elephant, even though priority would be more towards a solid, sturdy light stand on wheels and a really nice, decent boom arm. So I think that will be my next investment. Furthermore, I have now a newer strobe, which is just fine. However, at some point, like a Profoto, the Profoto Bs, I would like to have just because they're nice to have. And other than that, V-flats, and I still haven't sourced them yet, and I know I can build my own, but V-flats with a black and white side for bouncing and negative fill would be lovely to have, and just to move them around a little more easy. And all over, I'm super happy in my space. I do have to say I have those 2 rooms, office and studio, and I love it that they are separated, so that gives me a lot of options in my workflow. I'm shooting on the Canon 5D Mark IV, and that was for me the logical follow-up on, I used to have the Canon 6D and I crashed it. So I saved up for the next upgrade, which is the 5D Mark IV, and I usually shoot it with a prime, the 1.2mm. And sometimes, like I said, because I cannot back off enough, I have my other one, that's a 24-70 zoom lens. These are my 2 portrait lenses. And I have another lens which I sometimes use when I do real estate, architectural photography that I occasionally do, and that's a, what is it, a Samyang 14mm, or if I need to photograph my studio. And my 2 speed lights are, I need to read it because I always forget, the 600EX and the 580EX2, and I have those babies forever. And in the beginning, before I had my newer strobe, I just worked with those 2. First was 1, then was 2 small octabox, and a lot of bouncing. But these 2 I work with on a daily basis in addition to my newer main light in a big octa. And the other thing that's on my list of must-haves is my spider belt, of course, because it gives me the opportunity at all times to have my hands free, styling and so on. And it sits nicely tight on my hips, which I really, really love. My preferred light is my big octa, so my newer studio strobe in a big 1.25 octa box. It gives me nice, beautiful, soft light. It's double diffused and I use it all the time for portraits. And I combine it with, behind me on the reveal wall, I put my speed light and I bounce and create a base layer. This is my standard clean portrait light. And when I do maternity or boudoir, I go more experimental, and then I go all over the place, which, what I said before, backlight, extreme shadows, my shoot-throughs, and it's then a combination either of the 2 speed lights or the 2 speed lights and my main light. So there I would say everything is possible and I just play around. Okay. My post-processing routine is as following. I call the images, so I select them and I give them usually 1, 2, 3-star rating. And there is a difference between pre-COVID and after COVID. So before COVID, I did the absolute selection and I retouched them ready for my clients. And then I made a teaser, a little behind the scenes video already during the photo shoot when she was sitting here in hair and makeup. So they get to see first a little teaser and it's very emotional. And then I usually have a slideshow also, and then they got to see a printed reveal. These are proof prints locally done. Now it's a little bit different. I don't do the full retouching anymore. First of all, I'm more comfortable in what I produce straight out of camera. And also because I want to reduce the client contact as much as possible. So after the selection, and the selection is a little bit wider as if I would have done ready retouching. So I maybe show them 2, 3 per outfit, and then they get a classic proof sheet. So it's a digital proof sheet and watermarked, and I'm gonna just send it out and they select the images, and I'm quite comfortable with that. And then after they have selected their images, I do the finishing retouching in Photoshop, and then I like to use Alien Skin or the Infinite palettes of Pratik. Yeah, I don't really do the videos anymore, the little trailers, and the slideshows I can do also, but I haven't done it lately too much anymore. So I would say this is my post-processing procedure. And when the clients opt for a box, so a printed product, I order it in Italy, with Graphic Studio of course, and it takes 4 to 8 weeks depending till I have it here. And then also pre-COVID, I had the reveal here, so it was presented and it's a little celebration. And now I just hand it over with a lot of love, but over the fence. My average sale per today is 1920, and if I go back in time from 2017 till today, it rose a little bit up, and then the last 3 years it stayed at 1900. With selling, I'm comfortable within my comfort zone. That means according to the year, because every year I used to push my prices just to start feeling a little bit uncomfortable. So at that point in time, I'm not comfortable, but then throughout the year, I get comfortable, and that's my own challenge to push my pricing up. I'm done with my 1900, so I really want to break through that. And comfortable, I'm with 3,000, and 3,500, 4,000, I'm uncomfortable at this point. So I will push my, I will push my borders, my boundaries. My price list, at this point in time, I have it printed out locally on thick cardstock. And my price list consists out of 3 pages. I have it here in the studio, and when I have a client coming in for consultation, it is here laying out. I also do pre-send it digitally to my clients when they inquire. And at times of in-person reveals, I have it again. So I really, again and over and over and over again, I make my price list very clear. And yeah, I'm fine with these locally printed out sheets. And as I mentioned, every year I push my pricing up, so I didn't print it into a book or something. For gift cards, I used to have the ones from Mo with the gold shimmer, which are really beautiful. However, also due to COVID, I could not order at some point in time and I needed new ones, so I had them also printed locally on a cardstock. And I actually now don't have business cards anymore. I just have a voucher and the business card information together in one. I give these out to either special relations, or when a client comes in and goes for one of my bigger packages, they get the gift voucher as a thank you. They can come back, or they can gift it to one of their precious friends. Then my marketing material, I keep it simple basically. I have my little flyers, and I have there 2 different ones. One is really for business, which is more where I photograph men, and I have some basic information of my session fee and starting prices on there, and I just show a little variety of different personalities. And then I have another one which is serving me as beauty, maternity and boudoir, and the same information on session fee and starting prices. These ones are printed, I think, with Nations Photo Lab. They're nice and handy. Also, I give these out either with a gift voucher to special relations or as a gift, or to, like I said, clients who go for a bigger box and they get it together with a box as a thank you. I don't have special wrapping or packaging. My clients just get the box in the packaging that my boxes come from Graphy Studio. That's not my love language. I put my love into everything else, but not in packaging. And I have a magazine, which is just a studio sample, and it mostly serves to have a conversation going with my clients. And honestly, I need to redesign it and just put new work in there. Right now I have one print product, and that's my beautiful Graphy box, for me only the very best, and that is the genuine white leather reveal box in 11 by 14. And standard I do order the 20 image box, which is just thicker with the double with the little feet in there if somebody only buys 10 images, and then they can collect to 15 or 20. And marketing, I'm very comfortable digitally, so everything online, I love doing that. However, marketing in person, well, that's a thing. I am totally not the typical business network kind of woman. I am terrified. I am more like a relationship builder 101. So let's say like if I meet a makeup artist, I really like the personal interactions and building relationships like really 101. I think the moment I have a kind of function, I feel much more comfortable. Like for example, if you're in a workshop or something, so the typical network business person, no. I get my most traffic leads absolutely from word of mouth, because it's a small community, I guess. And the second would be Facebook, which goes hand in hand with the small community, because in our Facebook world here, everybody is on Facebook on this island. I think I would have, at the start of my career, know much more about the business part, because all my education was focused on learning the thing to learn. In that case, it was architecture. I studied architecture. And the business part stays behind, and business, value, pricing, that part. And all along, of course, you have to master your craft. But I would say business administration, how you run your own business, and self-love. Because I think I do so much better than I always thought I am or was doing, and acknowledging that, and you know, the own tap off the shoulder without being arrogant, just saying like, hey, you're doing really, 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 really good. And that took me a very long time to come to that point. Well, I hope I can do this as long as I can hold a camera. I really love the interaction. I love doing this, and I want to not specialize in that sense, but I would like to create more fine art pieces. So maybe even just one beautiful, great, big enlargement. Other than that, I do also get really motivated if I, for example, sometimes do business shots. And somehow I always end up having ideas for other people's businesses. So I don't know where this might lead me, but not a coach advisor, but some kind of idea creator, if that's a word. And also I really love teaching the kids, the media class. So a little bit teaching could be there, maybe speaking, motivating others. I think that is really something which I love to do. The most I'm inspired by the assignment. Like I said, when I get an assignment, like my fires go up and I get ideas and things just pop into my head. And yes, of course, you know, I watch Instagram and I watch Pinterest for maybe sometimes practical executions, like, how could I do this or that? But the assignment itself inspires me, and also the client in front of me, because I connect to that person and it's just ideas popping up out of nowhere. Also, what inspires me are simple items. Like once I did a shoot with a fishtail, and that fishtail, my husband caught the fish, and it was forever in our living room painted in white. And I was like, I want to do something with that fishtail one day. I did. And same with, I have palm trees in my garden and the dry leaves. I'm like, I want to do something with that leaf. And sometimes it takes 2 years till I actually have an idea. So items in general, it could be nature, it could be clothes, it could be something that I use in a different way. So I would say those 3 things are the biggest. Sounds cliche, but really start where you are. Start with what you have. I started with a Rebel T1, I don't know what. The first one with some kit lens. Just start. Learn your craft, learn the business part. In the beginning, you're all over the place, you don't know where to start. So for example, at Breast Education, the 90 days challenge is fantastic. I think I did it 2 or 3 times because it's a step-by-step process. That was fantastic for me because I didn't have to search, what am I gonna do first, what am I gonna do then? But for sure, I would, if I start at 0, use what you have and do a step-by-step 90 days challenge and then grow from there. And be nice to yourself. In the beginning, I was already quite comfortable kind of with shooting and directing, and in the beginning I was more watching the posing videos. My favorite courses of the Portrait Masters are number 1, the moment it came out, I got the lighting from Felix. I was always praying for a lighting course for dummies and I got it. And my life changed. After that, I got the course from Pratik for the retouching, also changed my life. I always had a good understanding of Photoshop since studying architecture. And then I got, yes, Richard's courses. So it's really like building up on each other. The courses from Richard Wood, fine art, gives again another dimension to storytelling, but my first favorites I've mentioned. Well, the whole community is something that I personally over and over called family. It's such a supportive community, and it's for me a kind of giving and taking and asking, and what really was a milestone and a thing everybody has to experience at least one time is the actual Portrait Master Conference as soon as we can travel again, because you hands-on meet everybody and it's really this family feeling and the strength of the community, and this really positive, honest vibe is something I have not met in any form in my life or in other professions.